Thanks for Chris for the wonderful introduction. Uh, Today I want to talk to you a little bit about why and we focus on standardizing stylized components and kind of where we came from. And so if you haven't heard of Coupler, that's fine. We're an app that we're working on outside of work. I work for MassMutual. If you are looking for a new job, we're always hiring. I work on the interactive content team there, but in the React Native world, I've been really enjoying learning more about that, getting better, and kind of working through some of the pain points that our teams come across. And I'm sure you guys have all been rejected by Apple at one point or another. But that first rejection, they're like, ooh, this doesn't scale. This doesn't look good across different things. And you're like, oh, man. And so when we were trying to figure that out, we're like, all right, like we're doing stylized components, but the styles on every screen is like slightly different, like whether it be the color, whether there's like 7 fonts that are all different, and you're like, all right, we need some standardization here. We have a design, and we should be adhering to the set designs instead of just the product owner that just goes, well, that looks like it should be a 15, and that's a 14, and that's a 13. Like, so how do we achieve that? And so coming from the web world, I was like, like what is out there that kind of gives us a little bit of those guardrails on stylized components? And so I was looking at Bootstrap, I'm like, ooh, like I like this a lot because it's very easy to see like, okay, like the width is 25%, or like if you're looking at like spacing for margin or padding, like it's very easy to say, okay, margin, and then either add like a T for top or B for bottom, and then a size. And I was like, this is really interesting. What can we do with this in the React Native space? And so switching over here, we've got our simple loading screen, or login screen here. And so let's start with kind of like this label here, the login with Facebook. So you can see we actually just have a simple label component, and we pull in a lot of different styles. And so each of the styles are very simple to pass in as parameters and say, like, okay, like I want this kind of coloring or this typography, and we just import them all as essentially, you can think of it as like an object. So we can dynamically say, like, when we're doing the typography down here in the styles as an array, we can say, okay, you have to pull a typography from this object, if you want to think about it that way. And it makes it very easy to put some of those guardrails on. It's very easy to extend the guardrails, but it makes it simple, so when we're actually doing the login button, I say my size is 1. H1, if I want to change that, let's make it a little bit smaller. When I say a little bit, I mean much. And yeah, we're in the process of updating to React 59. As you can see, we've got the wonderful async storage going on there. But with a simple one change, like I knew, like, okay, H6 is a valid style just because I'm coming from the web world. It's very easy to do the same thing with padding. So like if we jump in there and we're like, all right, let's not add too many. But if we add in a padding here and we say, like, okay, like let's look at this. We're going to, if we go back to that Bootstrap model and we say, okay, so I've got padding, and let's say I want a lot of padding, so extra large here, thinking about it from that space, and I don't have to worry about scale, I don't have to worry about size, because how we actually do everything is we handle that behind the scenes where you can see we have the scale function. So I never have to worry that I forgot to scale it from from the stylized component piece. I don't have to import scale everywhere. I just know that it's going to work, and those guardrails are going to protect me. So it took a little bit of time to set that up, but like it's paid dividends. Happy to share this. I found this on the web for anyone who's having scaling issues. Not going to take credit for that. But I do like this style a lot, where it's simply just exporting out, like, okay, that's a font family. Instead of me just typing Gotham bold, I just type bold. And it's simple, it's easy, and adds those guardrails to it. And you can see with like our login button where we provide the color, And when that comes down here, all we're doing is adding some basic styles. So we still have that power of the stylized components, but we don't have the worry about, will this look good on a tablet? Will this look good, or like what was that exact command again? We took what we already knew of Bootstrap and said, let's apply this to mobile. So I know it's supposed to be a lightning talk, and we're going to try and keep it short, but does anyone have any questions? We would love to have a conversation, see what you guys like, what you don't like. Does that pattern work for you guys?
Well, so I think it's awesome. I'm just curious behind this, what goes behind scaling and P_XL, what that actually will render, like whether it's using Flex or using actual margin percentage or something.
Yeah, I can dig in if you'd like. Let's see here. So it is not using Flex, and that's definitely something that's in our, one of the problems that we're looking at solving is like how do you do the grid piece of it? Because that's something that we've got a simple solution of just like you set it, the top container at 1 and then the views below, but that's not something that I think is perfect for us yet, and something I'm still trying to figure out how to get more of that like Bootstrap grid feel to it. But a lot of it is just the scale function. We set it at the smallest screen that we were expecting, and it scales up based off of that. Did not need to delete that. But like, it's pretty simple just to go scale up based off of that. Oh, also, we come find us later. We're going to give a free T-shirt to whoever asks the first question.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
How do you deal with documentation for it? Like people knowing what these things do, or do they just, or even what's available? Because are you using, like, is everyone using VS Code, or is there some TypeScript to help with kind of hinting towards any of that, or?
Everything's using VS Code and have considered TypeScript, but right now there's 2 of us developing this, so not as much of, we haven't hit that pain point as much, and it's definitely something I'd be interested in as we scale. But the idea behind this really is that we should, this is connected, is that we should be able to take these components and drop them into a brand new project, change the font types and the colors, and it should work as expected on anything else. So instead of reinventing the wheel for any new app, you essentially have a new one after this.
Cool.
So.
Nice.
All right, thanks guys.
Lightning.
All right. Alex is going to come up next. He's going to talk to us about some adventures he's had recently with Bluetooth, and talk to us about how to develop on a stack you're not super familiar with, which that happens all the time. We often have to dive in things that we don't know fully, and I'm excited to hear about that. Yeah. By the way, this is like the absolute loudest React shirt I own. I don't really know where else to wear it but a meetup, so here it is. Work offline. Oh, do you need internet?
I had it.
Oh.
Just a second ago. We should be fine. I think we're fine.
We're not fine.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Folks?
Sorry,
Some
it's standard.
Wi-Fi issues. It's totally cool. Just having some Wi-Fi. Industrious guest.
Not industrious guest. No, the fun vendors, not vendors. So it's just vendors.
Do it.
Well, how many people here is the first React Native meetup? Awesome. Welcome. So that's really cool.
Oh my God, we can't see this.
We were actually fortunate to not schedule the exact same week as the React meetup. That's usually what happens, but happy to do that. Getting there.
Yay!
Okay, so second thing, is that the screen you want to show?
That's my code. Think they'll remember? No, not at all.
All right, so you want to display it.
I swear I touched it.
On the spot is always fun too.
Thank you. Hey, folks, can everybody hear me? Am I too loud?
Never.
Because that will be a concern, especially if I get excited. So, a little background. Hi, everybody. This is how to work with unfamiliar stacks without completely losing your mind. Featuring Bluetooth. This is definitely going to involve a lot of React Native. The journey that I take, and will take tonight, is definitely focused around React Native. It definitely focused around Bluetooth, but I hope that these can kind of apply generally to a lot of different stacks. First, hi, I'm me. That's going to be me in this presentation, so. A little bit about me. I'm an English major, or I was, in college, or I would have been had I graduated. And this is a little bit of my tech stack experience. I got Ruby on Rails, a lot of React experience, really enjoying TypeScript. Redux is pretty cool, web stuff, plus some trivia off to the side. So when my boss, who you'll meet a little bit later, when he approached me and said, hey, we have a React Native project coming up, I was really excited. I could not wait to finally build on something other than a browser. I mean, it's pretty much the same code base. And, why not? And then he mentioned there was a hardware component. And it was Bluetooth. And I've never dealt with hardware before, gang. What could go wrong? So here's how to work with unfamiliar stacks without completely losing your mind. A quick guide. Step 1, just write some code. You'll be fine. You know React, you know TypeScript, you clicked on the first link when you Googled React Native Bluetooth, so get to stepping, just start writing. You know what you're good at, start writing. Step 2, assume you know anything at all. Literally, anything at all, just assume you've once held information on your head. Like, for instance, you've looked at the Bluetooth spec and you've seen everything it has to offer, so connect, subscribe, notifiable, these are all the same thing, guys. You don't have to think too hard about it. They all mean some vague form of the word connect, and that means they're interchangeable. Oops, nothing works. Stare. Just stare. Step 4, consider the life of the noble sheep herder. Did you know that all of our sweaters in America come from something like 14 different sheep herds? I completely made that up just now, but think about it. Wouldn't it be nice? Working with your hands? Just no computers, no technology, just you and the flock? Imagine working on something that
Actually changes when you touch it, when you do something to it, it actually changes in some physical way. Imagine that.
wouldn't that be nice? And then finally, figure it out after flailing wildly during a 20-minute debugging session with your boss, Nick Maloney. You've been on this for 3 weeks, let's say. Just can't get any blood from this stone, and then your boss comes over, and in 20 minutes, he just fixes it right up. Right in front of you. Right then. Literally did not know anything about Bluetooth when he sat down 20 minutes. So the last 2 months have been really interesting for me. But I think despite what this slide and my hair would suggest, I've actually grown a little bit and learned a few lessons. And despite all of the self-deprecation that I just went through, if I got a chance to do it again, I think I know how I'd go about it. And now we're going to do that part. Let's try again. So the first step is to ground yourself. I wish I had made a clear list and an actual delineated, writing down list of what I knew and what I didn't know. I feel like writing it down is actually kind of important because then you can continue to add to it as things go on. React, Redux, Context API, TypeScript, this is stuff I had played with before, but React Native, Bluetooth Low Energy, basically any hardware. I lived in the beautiful, immateria of software, right? Where like, what's memory? What is a byte even? You don't care. Pretty much anything on a phone I hadn't done before. And the stuff I knew was comfortable, and the stuff I didn't know was very scary. And this feels a little trite when I wrote it out, but it's honestly the best way I could phrase it. Don't avoid the scary, and don't embrace the comfortable. Don't write any code yet. I immediately said I'm one, smart, two, like, good at coding. Please don't fire me. So I immediately tried to encapsulate the program in an interface that I thought would be understandable. I tried to make a TypeScript file, and I tried to import that library, and I tried to get the device working, and that led to like a 5-minute testing cycle because I didn't really understand that there was a faster way to do Xcode. Not kidding, by the way. For the first month of my Xcode experience, because I've hot mapped the options key to something else, I had slow animations turned on. And I just thought that's how it did. I just thought that's how, I assumed that's just how it go. So, you know, that didn't help. Try to identify what you don't know that you don't know. A really cool quote from a really bad man. So like, very briefly, for the purpose of actually giving you some bit of information about Bluetooth, does anyone actually know how it works? Bluetooth Low Energy? I was really hoping somebody else would get to finish this presentation. Okay, cool. So just do some Googling, and we're going to find some diagrams. So I'm just going to flash them really quick here, and let me know if you need any clarification, because they are very... Do you want me to go back? Is this one? This one I found very helpful. Because this is what you get if you Google Bluetooth Low Energy diagram. This one is actually the closest. So here's a very brief description. This is what a Bluetooth device looks like, a Bluetooth Low Energy device in particular. It's got a device, and then it has services inside of it. These services have characteristics, and you can read, subscribe, or write to these characteristics. All of these have an identifiable address that you can query for, and this is what you actually do with the different levels of the device. You look for the Bluetooth device, then within the Bluetooth device, you look to the service, and then you subscribe, read, and write to the characteristics. Hooray! You now know exactly how much as I do about all of this. Familiarize yourself with the domain outside of the context of React Native. And this is another way of rephrasing, literally, do not write any code. Do not be afraid to play. Find a way you can get a very quick refresh cycle on that data. So I was introduced in that 20-minute session. Nick Narani, my boss, showed me Blutility. And Blutility, by the way, it's my downstairs neighbor's TV, and I can write to it. Don't know what yet, haven't really tried, but he's gonna finally check out all those TV shows I've been recommending him. Blutility is a Bluetooth Low Energy browser. So it just flat out will show you all of the Bluetooth Low Energy devices in the room. We're gonna be doing it later. Who's gonna check their phone? Anyway, Blutility allowed us to actually pull everything apart and see it for ourselves. And I want to remind you that this was a 20-minute debugging session. And this is who I saw when I tried to go to sleep that night. It was actually 20 minutes. I'm not trying to make it more dramatic. He was literally like, oh, try this, click, 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 oh wow, 4 weeks, huh? 4 weeks, huh? Me and my therapist are working on it. Nick keeps turning down the Google meeting invites, but one day I hope he'll go. Firm up your assumptions. Is there a spec for the device that you're using? Is it helpful? A lot of these devices are made in countries that do not speak English, and that's cool, but that doesn't always mean that we end up with, if it's a language you understand, a spec in a language that you can read. And what do? Ask yourself constantly, what don't I know? What am I assuming? There were so many times in this project that we looked at the spec, we looked at the device, we saw what we were getting back, And we made dumb assumptions because we didn't have all the data. And if we had spent the extra hour to really thoroughly test every circumstance, I say we here because that makes me feel better, but it was me that was doing all of this, so I would have saved me a lot of time. I don't really understand bits and bytes. Again, I'm like a sorcerer level, or wizard level, like I don't really understand. The magic isn't inside. You guys play D&D, right? So okay, sorry. So in D&D, I'm not gonna do that. The level that I'm used to programming at, bits and bytes don't really exist, right? I'm dealing with variables. I'm dealing with frameworks. I'm not really dealing with the insides. So when we finally broke through and made contact with the device and I asked it what its name was and it gave me this, I legitimately didn't know what to do with it. Does anyone know what to do with this? If you got this string, what's that?
What's base 64?
Base 64 encoding, look at that. So you take that and then you put over there, and that is literally the string brand name encoded into base 64. Cool. So great. I can take base 64 encoding, I can turn it into a string, and when I read the battery life, I saw ZA equals equals. Does anyone want to guess what that means? It's a battery life. Of course, it's D. Did you know you can decode base 64 into things other than text? Because I did not. Turns out D means 100. Would you like to know how long this took me? Perform the minimum viable interaction. So at this point in the debugging process, you know a lot about the device. You know a lot about your problem framework. You know exactly what you're trying to do. So as an example, this is what we had to do. And I have spent a lot of my free time researching time travel so I could take this and throw it into the past along with half of our code base, the stuff that's actually good. Here's what we had to do. We defined to connect to the device, connect to the service within the device, subscribe to that service and every characteristic in that service, write to one of those particular characteristics, set up notifications from another different characteristic, trigger notifications on the Bluetooth device with a physical button press, and read the battery in that order. I wish I had written it all down. I honest to God wish I had written all of it down before I had started coding. Because once we had some code available, once we had something to work off of, it felt untouchable. It felt like, well, God, we spent so long making this work. What if we break it? Again, I'm saying we here. I don't mean we. I got a little scared. Like I got a little weird about like fixing it up. All of this so far can and should be done outside of the React Native ecosystem. Hey. So I've got Blutility here. Okay. Sure. I had Blutility here. Hey. So yeah, this is this is all of the Bluetooth Low Energy devices in the room, including many of your phones. And let's see if you see the word Sunsprite up here. I really hope it does. I tested this a lot. There it is. So, using Blutility, I can just dig in here. I can see that battery level. Right now it's H, which is 68. You pick up a few things. I can look at its manufacturer name string, so I can see the people who made it. This actually brought me to a slightly more updated spec, because I was able to Google the people who made it. This, by the way, is an American company, but the device itself was created overseas. So the spec was written to describe the hardware that was being made, and then slightly edited and sent back. And it was that slightly edited version that I was looking for. Because there were a few things that were just lies in the first spec. I don't know what else to call them. I learned that this was the third hardware iteration. They had made 3 devices, or 2 devices before this one, which again was helpful in trying to nail down exactly what level of firmware, and of course, firmware revision. And then we have these. Very helpful, not base64 encoded. These are just serialized UUID strings that or keys that you can use to point out and subscribe to a service. So I actually tried to do a demo of the entire list I just went through, but a really funny thing happened, and that is you subscribe to this notification, or excuse me, to this characteristic, and then you subscribe to this one, and then pretty much no matter what you write here. Okay, it's not doing it anymore. It was returning umlaut Y, which is actually something I've never seen before. It's a Y with an umlaut above it. I don't know what that means. But the point is that I can look at, interesting, this one says tile. Oh, somebody in the room have a, like, lost your keys, help you find it thing. Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna mess it up so bad. This one's just labeled feed, and there are no characteristics. This actually makes sense. Oh, never mind. All right, let's see. Read. Oh, jeez. You've been revealed. Parentheses, division, ampersand, tilde, F bar. We've got your number. Let's see. Oh, this one we can write to. All of what I'm doing right now, by the way, is actually what made movement on this project. I don't know if I made it clear, but there were a few weeks where we were just, the device itself was a dead hunk of plastic. We could not get in this. We could open up an old version of an app that worked with it and see that it wasn't broken, see that it was in fact making a connection, but we just couldn't get it to work ourselves. And doing this, actually wildly clicking on two different subscriptions at the same time, subscribing to two different characteristics all at once. Turns out that was the key. To this day, I don't know if that's standard for Bluetooth Low Energy. Do you have to subscribe to every characteristic, or is it something unique about this device? Still don't know.
Did they get rid of the protocol? I don't see protocol defined here.
Which protocol?
Well, I'm just saying, it's not telling you what protocol you're using,
Oh, no, not at all.
whether it's HID, SPP, or, yeah.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Paul. You're saying these words, and I really want to pretend I know what they mean. Because I'm on stage and stuff, and it's like,
Sorry.
They gotta think I'm smart, Paul, otherwise none of this works.
thank you, Paul. So, with that, you can build unencumbered by ignorance. And this is like I feel like this should be underneath a like picture of a vista or something, like just like the Grand Canyon. But honestly, the amount of stress and anxiety that I took on trying to get blood from that stone, I want to save as many people as I can for this. And it can be such an easy impulse to grab the comfortable, to immediately go like, well, what can I do to cover what I know, the stuff I don't know with the stuff I do know? And try to sit with it. Try to sit with that feeling of, I know there's a faster way I could do this. Oh, if I just gotta do JavaScript, I need to anyway, right? I'll make a little test app and I'll use that to test it. We tried all of these things, and the only thing that worked was dropping it and getting out of the context. Any questions? Yes?
Are you able to talk just kind of high level about the app itself? I don't know.
Yeah,
If, okay. I'd love to hear just like general.
Absolutely, yeah. So the app itself is an app for, oh God, I've just completely blanked. It is for tracking sunlight. So I've actually got the device right here. It was made by two Harvard professors, really cool folks, and they want to help people with seasonal effectiveness disorder, and in general, people who feel like they're kind of starting their days with a slump. So you wear this Sunsprite tracker, and you go out for a walk in the early day, and it is constantly tracking how much light you're taking in, what is the current UV reading of the light that you're taking in case you're taking in too much. And then it tracks it on a chart time-wise, and then archives it on a back-end server, as opposed to the other kinds of servers. But yeah, it is a pretty simple in description app, but it ended up being a little technically complicated. And to be honest, there are still things that we're trying to figure out, specifically about how to interact with this device in particular and Bluetooth in general.
Are there any problems that you came across with Bluetooth, specifically with React Native?
Oh, yes. Quite a many. A lot of them were actually, a lot of them ended up being not problems with Bluetooth, now that I think about it, but problems with promises. Probably one of the library we had is entirely promise-based, which you would imagine with an asynchronous device. But when we finally, like after we went through the pain of all of this, I actually had this on a slide, but it ended up not fitting anywhere. Async await. Just like async await, it will put a lot of confidence in your code. Cannot recommend that enough. But, okay.
Oh no, I'm just laughing, sorry.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Got one. Any other question? Yes.
So, one of the things about BLE versus Bluetooth is there's no handshake protocol, right? Everything's kind of on broadcast. So, how, when you're working with your app, do you manage questions of security and privacy?
Well, that's all the time we have for So actually, security and privacy, one of the, actually, I'm trying to give a good answer. One of the things we had is, I don't think that actually counts as security and privacy. Nothing. Literally nothing. Do not use this app, it will take all of your information. No, we very specifically, from app to device, we very specifically target, as opposed to doing a broad, like Blutility will have a broad spectrum of looking at every Bluetooth Low Energy device and then trying to find the one that, like, is saying the same thing. We are directly connecting to the device's UUIDs and then storing the individual device ID, so that at the very least the phone is never like openly looking for things that are sounding right. It knows the name of the thing it's looking for and it knows the characteristics. And we've even had one incident where it tried to connect to something else, but because none of the characteristics matched, it just kind of bumped away. Does that count? Are you going to tell my boss that I worked on security because of that?
We'll say yes.
I was literally right there in the middle. Thank you. That was a great. I have a Trello ticket to write now, but thank you. Any other questions?
Is the package that you showed, is it useful or you have to rewrite?
Yep. This is another, like, I ended up taking out most of the actual helpful, and here's how to do the job. But I'm just going to go back here. The sheep herder, that was a funny joke, okay? There we go. This is a very good library for Bluetooth BLE, React Native BLE. I looked at a lot more because we did hit that point in debugging where, well, I don't know, maybe the library is bad. Maybe it seems like it has a lot of stars on GitHub, but maybe it just got broken and no one's talking about it yet. And out of all of them, we were using TypeScript. This has a lot of built-in TypeScript stuff. TypeScript definitions. We ended up just, actually I can show you.
I can show them the code, right?
Sorry, don't listen.
I can show them the code.
So this is actually our, cool. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. A little too big. All right. So this is our actual Bluetooth manager. We built a class that we use to encapsulate the actual underlying Sunsprite BLE. If anyone sees anything here that might speed this up, you let me know. But generally speaking, we do the connecting here. We have start device scan. Here's that sensor service UUID. So we are zeroing in on the service that we're looking for. And we have this callback function that does a lot of stuff. And boy, I am suddenly self-conscious. So as you can see here, one of the goals was making it readable so that, like, if I got hit by a bus, somebody else could actually come in and understand what the code is doing. This used to be the worst promise chain that I have ever seen in a code base. For a little while, we really got in the weeds of, oh God, maybe we need to do different things at different levels, so maybe we need to connect, and then we'll have a bunch of stuff happen in that promise level, but then we need it to happen synchronously, so then we're going to chain off the last promise into like a deeper child. It was really bad, and this is doing everything. And it's also calling out to actual piece of coding advice here, the device. So separate from the manager, we have the actual device. we pass in the device that the underlying library gives us, and we gave everything sensible names. You'll see a lot of artifacts from the development process here, like bright light sensor code, which is a very generic thing that, not bright light sensor code. Right control point. When we finally figured out the right input and output format on how to get stuff into the device and how to get stuff out, we spent so long on this one function, just trying to get any kind of signal back from the application. And I don't know, is it readable? Does it make sense? Can you tell what's happening? This is an honest question, I'm curious, because I've been looking at this code, in my dreams, at work, when I go home, just all the time. I can't let it beat me, you guys.
So on the other side of the React Native equation is the question of the device, right? I've got a box full of Arduino BLE little boards, because most of them didn't work with my phone at all. I found a couple things that worked. One was a board by Red Bear that integrates it into an Arduino board, and I actually found really good success using Raspberry Pi, right? Just doing the software. The reason I bring all this up is that there seems to be a lot of variance, right, at the system on a module at least level, right? And I'm wondering if you have any advice for the group, right, for people who are looking at getting into BLE and might be having some influence in the manufacturing process of the modules or the chips you have found more success with on the other side, so as to make the consumption through the phone or mobile less painful.
I think you're so clever, don't you? No, sorry. Unfortunately, I simply cannot give any hardware advice. I am, I've learned too much and the information would kill them. But I unfortunately cannot give any assistance with what chipsets would be useful. I'm so sorry. I'm deeply curious what chipset this has, for instance. But I'm largely ignorant to the details. Any other questions from someone else? My bosses are here, man. You can't.
I got one more.
Yeah.
Does this just connect on occasion, or is it does it like every once in a while it wakes up and asks questions, or is it connected?
Actually, that is something that we are currently.
Sorry. That is something we are currently working on. Right now, it connects once. And ideally, it will be connecting every time this gets pressed. And that's really interesting. Or if not connecting, it'll be sending another notification. Right now, it looks as if we are, I was actually just working on this like 20 minutes before coming over here, so it's fresh. It looks like right now we are manually disconnecting, which is a assumption that we had there from the beginning of, that's how Bluetooth works, right? We're gonna connect, we're gonna read, we're gonna disconnect. And it looks like that's just an artifact of bad understanding. And I really hope that 8-point story is as easy as deleting them online. Really hope it's that easy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anything else?
How do you pair with the device on iOS?
So I have only been able to pair on the actual phone that we use for testing. I have not been able to pair in the simulator.
Yeah, you won't be able to.
No, yeah, cool. I was actually going to ask that too, because I would totally be believing, hey, you just gotta uncheck this one checkbox. Why did you have that checked anyway? Slow animations. No, okay, yeah, so So weirdly, we're not really pairing in the classical sense. We're not doing a really firm, like, one-to-one relationship between the device and this. The Bluetooth Low Energy is essentially just like asking if anyone's home, and we are the only people who know how to speak its language.
So what happens when the app is in the background?
Are you two in league with each other? Right now, nothing. Right now, we only connect once, and it's always when it's foregrounded. I expect that when we do this in the future, we're going to have a conversation about should we foreground it? Should we be trying to keep some kind of process running in the background? A third thing that I made up? One of those. I didn't give you a satisfying answer, and it's killing me.
I just want to know what happens, because the point is, like, if the app is in the background, I don't know how does that work on
my guess.
Because on Android you can have foreground service, but I don't know how that works on iOS. How do you keep connected?
That's actually a great question. Does anyone know that?
It doesn't matter. You don't.
You don't.
There is one library that will allow you to do it, but you can't predictably do it. They say between 1 and 15 minutes.
Oh, I know that.
That's only for the
Yeah, I know that.
You just need to tell
It's not, it's every 15 minutes, you cannot shorten them.
could be up to 15 minutes with the variable.
Yeah, there's no guarantee on when it's called. It just will at some point in that interval just happen.
You guys should give a talk. It's not so much.
Cool.
Any other hands? Thank you so much, everybody.
Good stuff.
All right, we have a lot of pizza to eat, so let's do some of that. I'll take a quick break and then come back for Dave's talk.
Well done. It's a tough topic, and this is hard.
I've been living La Vida trying to launch a new product.